Okay, we're going to be working on the sea turtle, and this is a great one to purchase in a kit, and I would suggest getting the kits early because we're only going to have a limited number of these, because it's going to come with your shell pieces, and these are something that we do sell at Miriam Joy, and also your little plastic turtle, and these are the kind that you find in the kids section in the little plastic animal kits. So this is a little sea turtle. So, and it doesn't matter what color your turtle is, but what we're going to do is we're going to start with our shell pieces, and we're going to glue those on. So we're going to take our turtle, and this is a bigger piece. This is a 3-inch piece, so we have room for our turtle. And I'm going to kind of set him here and kind of get an idea of where I want my ocean to go. And I'm going to kind of just mark that on. My pencil ran away, and just so I kind of know where I want that to go and have room for my turtle. So we're just going to come in here and we're going to start gluing, and you just want to glue a little bit at a time, and we're gluing it on with E6000 because E6000 is the hard glue to glue rocks to stones, glass, all of those kind of things. And you don't want too big of a section because you don't want it to dry out. And get the sack opened here and get some of these out. And you like the different types of stones, the different heights. We're just going to put those kind of together. Just glue those all on. You want to try and keep your edge smooth. That's the only thing you want to be a little bit consistent with, is keeping that edge smooth so the stones don't hang off of it. It's just kind of like a mosaic. We don't need a whole lot here, and you can make it come up a little bit, however you want to kind of do that. We also have some bigger pieces that are really nice for jewelry making or larger areas of doing this, and I wish that I'd had them when I was doing my smaller turtle gourd. Just filling these in here and there. And once you get these all on, you're going to want to let this dry for a while. And if it's possible, I would probably let it dry like overnight or something, because this isn't a project you're just going to sit down and finish in one setting, because the glue needs time to cure. So I would suggest that you would leave it, you need to at least leave it for several hours, but if you could leave it for overnight, just do this part one night and finish it the next day. And it doesn't take real long to do this, like I was telling you. I want all these different layers and textures on it. And we're almost done. I'm going to put another piece in here. Alright, so let's let that sit and we'll come back and do the next step. Okay, we've let our E6000 dry really well, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step. Another thing you can do with this, on this piece I have a little pearl, And I have, these are just little half pearls that you get in the memory scrapbooking section that you could glue on if you wanted a pearl on there, or you could use a pearl bead if you want that little extra pearl on it. You can do those kind of things. I'm going to take my wax design tool liner, my wax liner, and I'm going to put it into my black to start warming up, because we're going to be using that on our turtle in just a little bit. So we're going to do that, but right now we're going to put the wax in our little shells here, and what we're going to do is we're going to warm this up, and by warming it up it actually helps set the wax down in a little bit better than if we did it while it was cold. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So that should be nice and warm, and that's another reason you want to make sure that your E6000 is really dry, because you don't want to warm that up. And that's a really neat shell right there. There's a couple of different colors that we can use with this. We can use the steel blue, or we also can use the seaweed blue, and both of those metallic colors work really, really well in there. And I'm going to use my eyedropper, and I'm going to come in and put this in between each one of these. And we do now carry the eyedroppers. They are straight nosed. This one I picked up just has a little bit of an angle to it. And we're going to come in, and you want to go top and bottom of every one of these as well. And where you see a space, just squeeze a little bit more in there. And you want to make sure you go on all sides of each stone. There is a video that I do have up online that is the shell videos, and those are free of charge. And those are a really good one to watch, because I take you through a whole necklace of just this. They've been a really big hit, probably our best selling item besides our wax supplies. That's where we started doing our kits from. This one's a great kit though, because you don't have to go out and purchase everything you need individually. It's going to cost you a lot of money. I've already done all the shopping for you. And make sure we got them on top and bottom. Okay, now what we're going to come in and do is we're going to remove any of this wax that's on top. And there's several ways to do that. We're going to kind of smooth it out, but you also can come in with your hobby knife and take some of those bigger ones away, so you're not fighting that. And then I found that I like working with my finger the best. That's actually pretty clean, not too bad. We're going to heat it up just a little bit. And then what I do is I come in and I just wipe it off with my finger as well as my hobby knife. That seems to... You also can use your Q-tip. This guy, that's okay, he's the stone part, he's kind of taller anyway. And I think that is just about where I want it. Now I'm going to heat this part up, and we're going to apply our wax up there. And the reason we're heating this up is we want the wax to go on nice and smooth, and it's easier when you put it on while it is warmer, it kind of goes around nice and smooth. And I'm using again my stipple brush, and I've warmed it up in my wax. And we're going to start putting a layer on now because that's nice and warm. And you see why I waited to do that last little part right there is because we're going to get some of that blue. And we're actually going to put some of the blue in it. I'm going to give it a minute here, and we're going to put a second coat on this. And we can do this because we've warmed this piece up. If you hadn't warmed this piece up, you would just be picking up the other layer unless it was completely dry. Now I'm going to take my eyedropper, and we're going to put some blue here and there to make it look like the ocean. And we're going to blow that around just a little bit now. And just kind of get that where you think it looks like the ocean. Now I should have blown the white away as much as I did on top. I was trying to get it away from looking like lines. I was trying to get away from that part of it. And just play with it till you get it where you like it. I'm going to move those just a tad, hopefully this time not much. Okay, and another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a little bit of just your regular white glitter just to add the sparkle to it. Not much, it only takes a pinch. And actually I prefer putting it on with my hand. Now, once this dries, we are going to remove a spot to put the turtle onto, but I think it's easier to do that than to try and leave a spot open. But we're going to go work. We're going to let this dry for just a second. I'm going to grab my turtle and we'll be right back. Okay, we're going to work on our turtle for a moment. And I actually just took the turtle and followed the lines of the turtle. They were really good lines. I went and looked at sea turtles to kind of see what color they were and worked with it from there. So we're going to be using our copper metallic color. And I've already warmed up my stipple brush in my copper wax, and we're just going to put it all over this little guy. And remember, it doesn't matter what color he is. I've even done purple ones. And we're just going to cover him up nice and thick. And I want to come down on the sides and anything that would show. We want to make sure that we have covered. We don't want the bottom part, but any other part that would show, we want to make sure that we get covered. And these front little guys, they were actually up a little bit from the body, so I actually did a layer on them as well. And so I'm just going to leave basically the tummy alone. His little tail. Make sure you get those sides all covered. And got to get his back little legs here. I've got a big chunk of wax there. I'm going to put one more layer just to kind of get him all nice. So we're going to even him out till we can kind of see those little lines again. Okay. Now I can see these little lines that are back in him again. Don't leave him there because he will stick. I'm going to kind of move him off. If your color shows through on the little flippers, don't worry about it. We'll come back and put more wax on the end of those. So I'm going to scoop some black wax up with my wax liner. And I'm going to come and I'm going to write for just a minute to make sure that we get all the big stuff out. And I'm just going to follow those little lines on his back. When working with the wax liner, you want to kind of make sure that it's cool, that it's not real warm anymore. Because if it's melted and you're trying to go on a melted part, it's just going to kind of, see, like right there, it's not going to work real well for you. And I'm just going to kind of follow that all the way around. And I'm just going to put some little black lines in it. And then I'm going to put just some dots on his legs. And if you needed to do another coat on them, go ahead and do another coat on them. And then I've been warming up my red stipple brush and then my dandelion. And we're just going to put some color on his shell. This is going to melt, so and again, if you want to put some on his legs or on his face. And then I'm going to do it again with the dandelion. And I'm going to keep the yellow a little bit more towards the front of him. Okay, so we've got him on, so let's go ahead and get him melted. And you don't want to do it very much. Just if you look at the C pictures, that's actually how it kind of looks on his shell. Oh, just a little bit like that. Now make sure he's not stuck to your paper towel and let him dry. Now, we're going to kind of look at where he would go once he is dry, and you can lay him on there. And we want to kind of cut a piece out of our wax now. And you're aiming for about the size of his body. You don't want to go bigger than that because then your gourd would show. You want to keep it that size. So we're just removing that wax again because your E6000 doesn't probably like to stick to wax real well. So let's see if he's dry enough that we can kind of see how he's going to go right there. And I'm going to do a little bit bigger area. And I think that's enough. You just want to make sure that you can't see that area. Move it around if you have to. You don't want to see any of that that you've removed, that natural gourd. You want it to be just wax. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to glue it with our E6000. And I'm going to put it on, well, I got too much there. I wanted to put some on this side as well, kind of let him, the two combine. And I'm going to remove a little bit right here just so none of that is going to affect it. And then we're going to glue on our turtle. Now again, we're working with the E6000, so we need to give this time to dry. Make sure you have all of your strings removed. We don't want any glue strings. Don't want to see any of those. And you want to make sure that it doesn't move around on you, because if you've worked with the E6000, you know that it can remove or wiggle around on you. Now, I'm going to pretend that he is dry, and I'm going to go ahead and start with my next step here. And that is removing the wax off all of the edges. This is a really important part because we're not going to seal this, and our turtle is running away. And we're going to use that to put on our suede strip on. We want to make sure that we have it. Now I'm actually coming up and just doing a layer just right there so that we can get a nice seal with our finish. Now after this guy would sit for a while and he's really glued well, and you want to make sure that he's completely dry because we want to start sealing him. So if it may be a good idea to let him set overnight or something like that, because the E6000 does say give it 24 hours to cure all the way. And after it does that, we want to come in with our Mod Podge, and we're going to put a heavy coat, and we're going to make sure that we get this sealed all the way along the edges, all the way along the rocks, and over our turtle. Now this is wax, so we want to make sure that we do at least 3 to 5 coats. And we're going to be using the Mod Podge Dimensional Magic, not just Mod Podge. It has to be the Dimensional Magic. This is the one that they use with the glass jewelry and the jewelry that they're doing right now on the paper and everything. So it's made to go on very thick and very hard. And we actually had it out in the car today testing it. We've got it up to 130 degrees. I always tell you to test it. Just because I tested it, I always encourage you to do the same. We want to make sure that we get it around just a little bit on the edges, and go really well over the rocks as well. I'm going to let this dry, and we're just going to come back in, and I'm going to finish showing you just how that looks like when it's applied, and we'll take it from there. Okay, now that our glue has dried securely to our turtle, we're going to go ahead and start putting our Mod Podge on. And I'm going to start with my little rock part first down here. Now remember, we want this nice and thick, and even over the shell part, we want to get this real secure. The wax is completely covered as well as the shell. And I'm coming down here on this little edge just a tad to seal that all up nice and good, so that if any of the wax would melt, there's nowhere for it to go. And then we're going to come back up here and go around the turtle, and then kind of start going under his body. And we're going to come around that very edge, make sure we have a nice seal, and get up underneath the turtle real well. And then we're also just going to come straight over the turtle. We want him, and now if his little fin is lifted up, you want underneath him, because remember we've got wax underneath that little fin too. So we want that nice and thick everywhere. So we're going to leave this coat, We want to make sure that none of our brush strokes show. We want this nice and thick. And we're going to do 3 to 5 coats minimum on this guy. And just make sure you get all underneath the turtle and everything else as well. And we're going to get him nice and sealed. And I always tell you, test him in the sun. Make sure that he is doing really well. We had ours out to 130 degrees today. But if you're going to have him out, make sure that he does really well out in the sun as well. Now, let these dry really well in between coats, and we talked about putting 3 to 5 on them. And once that last one is put on, give it 3 hours before we come back and finish up our necklace.